The silent arrival. The Galactic Council chamber was alive with noise. A storm of voices crashing into each other. Dozens of alien leaders sat in the circle of light, their bodies glowing, shimmering, or clicking depending on their species. They argued about trade routes, border disputes, and petty rivalries that had stretched on for centuries. To them, the galaxy had order, and that order rested in their hands, but the order was about to break. At first, it was just a whisper from the Council's outer scouts. A small transmission, short and shaky. Something is moving. Something too big to measure. Most ignored it, others laughed. The galaxy was full of rumors. Many thought it was another mining station drifting off course or some primitive race testing heavy ships. Then the chamber's lights dimmed, and the great hollow display in the center flickered alive. A star chart filled the room, thousands of systems mapped in shining detail. At the far edge of the map near the dead zone of Terran space, a shadow appeared. It was not a dot like a fleet. It was not a line like a trade convoy. It was a shape, long, massive, and dark. The sensors struggled. To outline it? Data stuttered and broke apart. The size reading blinked red. Numbers climbed higher and higher until the display itself froze. The chamber fell silent. Every alien turned, staring at the image. Impossible, one delegate hissed. Her skin scales shifted to pale colors of fear. That cannot be a ship. It is, another answered, his voice dry. And it is heading directly for us. The Council High Speaker rose from his throne. His 6 eyes blinked in confusion and dread. Identify the origin, he commanded. The sensors obeyed, symbols formed, and then the words appeared clear in the common tongue. Origin. Terran space. A ripple of shock moved through the room. For centuries, the humans had been a mystery. After the wars of old, they had vanished into their own corner of the galaxy. They built no alliances, signed no treaties, sent no ships. They were forgotten by most, whispered about by a few. But now they had returned. The chamber shook again as the shadow grew larger on the map. It was still far, yet it was moving with a speed that defied the numbers. Its engines burned brighter than suns, leaving trails that bent nearby readings. Open a channel, the High Speaker ordered. His aides scrambled, sending out diplomatic calls. But no answer came. The shadow did not reply. The shadow did not even acknowledge them. On the outer edge of the Council's borders, defense fleets scrambled. Commanders shouted orders, ships formed in lines. Their hulls gleamed, weapons charged. Yet every officer felt it. The cold fear of facing something unknown. The first visual came minutes later. A deep space probe sent back a shaky image. It was blurry, filled with static, but even through distortion the truth was clear. A warship, not like the Council fleets, not like any vessel the galaxy had ever seen. It stretched for miles, layered with black armor that seemed to swallow starlight. Its silhouette blotted out stars behind it. Its hull carried scars and strange glowing patterns. Some thought it was alive. Some thought it was a moving planet. Whispers filled the chamber again. Titan class, one alien croaked. It has to be. That name spread like fire. Titan class. A phrase only heard in human rumors. A ship so large and so powerful that even empires could not dream of building one. The Council High Speaker struck his staff on the floor to silence the room. We must send warning, he declared. We must show them that the Council does not bow to fear. But his words were weak. His 6 eyes trembled, his voice cracked, for even he could not look away from the deity. Image of the warship. Meanwhile, aboard the Titan, silence ruled. Human officers stood at their stations calm and steady. Their eyes watched the galaxy's defenses forming ahead. Their hands moved across glowing screens. Their ship's hum echoed like the heartbeat of a giant. Captain Reese stood at the command deck, his face lit by the glow of the stars. He said nothing. He did not need to. Every officer knew their mission. The Titan was not here to speak. It was here to be seen. Back in the Council chamber, tension climbed with every second. One delegate shouted for war, another begged for surrender. Fear made enemies into allies, rivals into cowards, and still the Titan moved closer. Suddenly, the chamber lights flickered, communication lines sparked with static. A single signal cut through all noise. A deep vibration filled the council's ears. It was not words. It was not sound. It was presence. A warning that shook them to the bone. Then silence again. Every alien in the chamber held their breath. Staring at the frozen star chart, the shadow now filled it completely. They were no longer looking at a map. They were looking at a ship that blocked out the galaxy itself, and humanity had arrived. The Council, proud rulers of thousands of worlds, could only sit in silence. The warship did not fire. The warship did not speak. It simply waited, its shadow falling across the hearts of all who saw it. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy felt small. For the first time in history, the galaxy knew fear, whispers, and fear. The council chamber had never been this quiet. Hundreds of alien leaders sat frozen in their places, their eyes fixed on the star chart where the Titan's shadow stretched across the void. It was as if a dark wall had risen at the edge of the galaxy. No words were spoken at first. Then, slowly, whispers began to spread like fire in dry grass. They said humans. "We're finished," one delegate muttered. His hands trembled, his skin flashing pale colors of dread. "Finished?" Another hissed, her wings folding close to her chest. "That ship is no mark of weakness, it is a fortress." The whispers grew. Some tried to laugh, but their voices cracked. Some tried to speak of diplomacy, but their words turned into stammers. They all remembered the old stories they had pushed aside as myths, the stories of humans. They remembered the time when small Terran fleets had cut through massive empires with speed and fury. They remembered the battles where humans fought long after any other species would have broken. They remembered the silence after those wars, when humans closed their borders and vanished, and now, after centuries, they had returned, carrying a ship that defied imagination. In the chamber, one alien leader finally slammed his claws on the table. His voice cracked through the room like thunder. "We must not fear shadows. The Council commands thousands of fleets. We will crush this human toy before it dares move closer." A few nodded, desperate for courage, but their faces betrayed doubt. Another delegate rose, tall and calm. His species had faced humans before, and barely survived. "You do not understand," he said softly. "That is no toy. That is a Titan. If humans built one, they have built more." The chamber shook with shouts. Some demanded war. Some demanded retreat. Some even whispered about surrender before a single shot was fired. In the corner, the Council's intelligence officer pulled up hidden files, records long buried. He displayed them on the holoscreen. The chamber gasped. Footage of human battles appeared. Grainy recordings from old wars. Tiny human frigates fighting against entire armadas. Fleets 10 times their size falling apart. In chaos, ships exploding one after another as humans pressed forward without fear. "This is what they did with frigates," the officer said coldly. "And now, they have Titans." A deep unease spread. Leaders shifted in their seats. Some covered their eyes, as if not seeing would make the truth disappear. Outside the chamber, fleets prepared. Thousands of ships aligned near the border. Their hulls glittered. Engines burned. Weapons pulsed with energy. But every commander felt the same weight in their chest. The weight of fear. The Titan hung at the edge of council space, unmoving. Its black hull swallowed starlight. Its silence was more terrifying than any weapon, on board the Titan. The human crew worked quietly. Their screens lit with alien fleet movements. Their scanners, filled with enemy chatter. "Council fleets are forming lines," an officer reported, his voice calm, almost casual. Captain Reese stood at the command deck, his arms behind his back. "And their fear?" he asked. "Growing," the officer answered. "They don't know if we'll fire." Reese gave a faint smile. "Good. Let them wonder." Back in the chamber, arguments reached breaking point. The high speaker struck his staff against the floor. His 6 eyes scanned the hall. "Enough," he roared. "We are the rulers of the galaxy. We will not be shaken by one human ship." But his voice did not carry strength. Even he could not hide the tremor in his hands. Then, the chamber's walls vibrated. A deep hum cut through the air. All communication screens turned black, then lit up again with a single image. The Titan. Up close, its hull filled the screen. Its armor was scarred, its edges sharp as blades. Strange lights pulsed along its surface like veins of a living creature. And then came the sound, a single deep tone that shook the walls, not words, not speech, but presence. It echoed in every heart, reminding them of something primal. Fear, the tone faded, leaving silence. The council sat frozen, none daring to speak. The image of the Titan remained, watching, waiting. Finally, one alien broke down, his claws scraped the table, his voice cracking. "We cannot fight this, not them." Others began to nod. Their whispers carried despair. If this is their first step, what comes next? What have they built in silence all these years? The High Speaker looked around the chamber. For the first time in history, he saw no pride, no arrogance, only fear. Outside, the fleets wavered, captains hesitated. Their ships held formation, but their hearts trembled. They were soldiers, but soldiers who knew they faced something beyond their strength. On board the Titan. The crew sat in silence, waiting for orders. Captain Reese stood tall, his eyes steady on the growing chaos of council fleets. He spoke softly. "Let them fear. We came here not to fight, but to remind them who we are." The Titan's engines pulsed, its shadow spread wider across the void. The galaxy itself seemed smaller under its presence in the council chamber. Whispers filled the air again. Louder now, sharper. "This ship is not alone," someone said. "If they sent one Titan, how many more are waiting in the dark?" No one answered. No one dared. The council chamber, once the throne of galactic power, was now filled with silence and fear. Every leader stared at the black hull of the Titan, and in that moment, they all understood. Humanity had returned, and the galaxy would never be the same. The message the council chamber was drowning in fear, yet the Titan still did not move. It simply hung in the void like a mountain of shadow, silent, cold, and endless. The fleets outside trembled in formation, waiting for an order to fight or flee. The High Speaker stood at the center of the chamber. His 6 eyes darted from one terrified delegate to another. He slammed his staff down, sparks flashing from the stone floor. "We will not be ruled by fear," he said. "Open a direct channel. Force them to speak." Technicians obeyed. They sent waves of signals across the void. Greetings. Demands, threats, promises, all languages, all codes. For long minutes, nothing came back. Then the lights dimmed. The chamber's walls vibrated as if the very air was trembling. Screens flickered black. Every system across the council's core went silent for one heartbeat. Then the words appeared, not a speech, not a long demand. Just 4 words written in perfect, simple script. "Enter Terran space, perish." The words pulsed on every screen, etched themselves into every mind. For a moment, no one breathed, no one spoke, they only stared. One delegate whispered, his voice broken. "This is not diplomacy, this is command." Another's wings trembled as she pulled them tight. "They have given us a line, a border written in fire. We cross it, we die." The chamber erupted into chaos. Voices shouted over one another. Some demanded war, screaming that the council could not bow. Others begged for retreat, arguing that survival mattered more than pride. The High Speaker tried to calm them, but even his staff could not silence the storm. Meanwhile, in the void, the Titan stirred. Its black hull shifted. Plates of armor rotated and locked. Massive cannons the size of city towers slid from hidden bays. Energy readings spiked so high that nearby stars flickered on the bridge. Captain Reese gave no order to fire. He only watched, his expression calm. His crew followed his silence, fingers ready on controls, waiting. The Titan's weapons charged, but they did not release. Instead, the ship's engines flared, pushing it slightly closer to council space. That small movement was enough to send panic through the council fleets. Thousands of alien ships scrambled out of position, their perfect formations broke like glass under pressure. Some captains fled entirely, abandoning the border without permission. In the chamber, The delegates saw this chaos. They realized their soldiers' hearts were breaking before the first shot. One alien leader, tall and covered in silver fur, stood and growled, "We must act. If we do not strike now, we will live forever under their shadow." He pounded his chest and demanded volunteers for an assault. Slowly, a few hands rose. Brave or foolish, no one could tell, but most remained frozen, their eyes still locked on the 4 words glowing on the screen. "Enter Terran space. Perish. The intelligence." Officer stepped forward again. His voice was steady, but his face pale. "You must understand," he said, "this is not the full strength of humanity. This is a warning. They built this Titan in silence, in secret. Do you think they built only one?" The delegates looked at each other. Horror spread across the chamber. What if there were more? What if entire fleets of Titans were hidden in the dark, waiting? At that thought, the whispers began again. Softer this time, more desperate. "They don't want war," one muttered. "They want space, respect, no trespass." "They want control," another snapped. "They demand and we obey. That is no peace." But their voices had no strength. Their words rang hollow against the image of the warship. On the Titan, the silence was deliberate. Captain Reese knew the effect. Fear grew louder in silence than in words. He turned to his crew. "They will test us, they always do." A young officer frowned. "And if they attack?" Reese's eyes narrowed. "Then the galaxy will finally understand why humans chose silence for centuries." Back in the chamber, the debate collapsed. No agreement, no unity, only fear. The high speaker sagged against his throne. The staff in his hand felt heavy. His eyes, once proud, now looked hollow. Suddenly alarms blared across the chamber, defense screens lit up. Council fleets had fired. A small strike group had broken formation and launched an attack against the Titan. Gasps echoed through the chamber. Delegates rose to their feet, watching in horror as their ships moved forward. On the hollow display, thousands of missiles streaked toward the Titan. Beams of light cut across the stars, an ocean of fire rushing to crush the silent warship. The Council held their breath, waiting for impact, but on the Titan's bridge, Captain Reese simply raised one hand. His crew moved as one. Shields unfolded like wings of light, absorbing the storm. Missiles exploded, beams scattered. The void lit up like a star dying. When the light faded, the Titan remained, untouched. Not a single scar marked its hull. Gasps and cries filled the council chamber. Some delegates collapsed into their seats. Others shouted in despair. The Titan responded at last. Its weapons flared. A single blast of energy, one not many, erupted from its side. It swept across the void like a burning blade. The entire attacking fleet vanished. Ships erased in an instant, leaving only drifting dust. The chamber fell into silence. The Titan's image filled every screen again. The 4 words returned, burning brighter than before. Enter Terran space, perish, and in that silence, the galaxy finally understood. Humanity was not asking for respect. Humanity was declaring it. Testing humanity. The dust of the destroyed fleet still drifted in the void when the council chamber broke into chaos. Some delegates screamed for surrender, others shouted for war. The echoes of their panic filled the vast hall like a storm, but none could forget what they had just seen. An entire fleet erased by a single strike. Not hours of battle, not attrition, just one shot, and they were gone. The high speaker rose, his staff shaking in his hands. His voice cracked as he spoke. This is a warning. Humanity does not seek peace. They seek to enslave our will. If we do nothing, the galaxy belongs to them. His words sparked fire in some. A group of war-hungry delegates slammed their claws, fists, and wings against the table. Then we test them, they roared. We unleash our true power. Fear and anger twisted together. Desperation often breeds courage, or madness. Within hours, messages spread across the council's systems. Summons went to distant fleets. Ships from dozens of species began to converge. The largest armada in centuries formed at the edge of council space. Millions of soldiers whispered prayers in the dark. Meanwhile, the Titan remained still, its black armor unbroken, its engines pulsing like the slow beat of a giant's heart. It did not advance. It did not retreat, it simply waited. On board the Titan, Captain Reese stood tall on the bridge, the calm glow of screens reflected in his eyes. His crew tracked the growing swarm of enemy fleets. Thousands of signatures filled their scans, spreading like an ocean around the warship. Numbers climbing. An officer reported, "Council Armada massing. Their fleet outnumbers us 100 to 1. The crew exchanged uneasy glances, but Reese remained silent for a moment. Finally he spoke, his voice steady. "Then the Council has chosen its lesson." Back in the chamber, the High Speaker gave the final order. His 6 eyes shone with false bravery. "Strike the Titan, break it. Show humanity they are not gods." The command spread like fire through the fleets. Engines roared. Cannons flared. Thousands of ships moved as one. The first wave descended on the Titan. Beams of light brighter than suns tore across the void. Missiles rained like meteors. Plasma burned in rivers of fire. The entire sky seemed to explode around the black warship inside the council chamber. Delegates leaned forward, some with hope, some with terror, all waiting. The Titan vanished in light. A storm of fire swallowed it whole. For a heartbeat some dared to believe, but when the fire cleared, the Titan was still there. Its shields glowed faintly, its hull shimmered like a shadow untouched by flame. Not a single scar marked its armor. The council chamber froze, a silence heavy as stone fell. Then the Titan answered. Its cannons roared. Not one, but dozens. Beams of red and white energy slashed through the void. Each strike carved through fleets like knives through glass. Council ships exploded in chains of fire. Entire squadrons vanished in seconds. Q1. Titan unleashed swarms of drones from its belly. Small, fast, and merciless. They cut into enemy formations with surgical precision. Each drone struck with the strength of a frigate, moving faster than eyes could follow. The Council Armada broke. Apart, ships collided as they fled. Commanders shouted orders, but fear drowned discipline. On the Titan's bridge, Captain Reese gave quiet commands. His crew moved with calm efficiency. Not once did his voice rise. Not once did he show fear. Humanity had prepared for this moment for centuries. In the council chamber, panic erupted. Again, some delegates demanded retreat, others wept. A few whispered prayers to gods long forgotten. The intelligence officer stood, his voice sharp as a blade. "You see? This is not even their full power. This is only one ship, one Titan. They built it in silence. What do you think waits behind it?" The delegates shivered, their minds filled with dark images, fleets of Titans, hidden in Terran space, waiting to march on the battlefield. The Council's armada was collapsing. Ships burned. Crews screamed into dying comms. Thousands of lives vanished every minute. The Titan advanced slowly, not rushing, not desperate, moving like a predator with no fear of prey. One alien commander tried to rally his forces, his voice cracked over open channels. "Do not break. We are the galaxy's defenders. Strike again." Dozens of ships followed his order. They charged the Titan head-on. The warship opened its central cannon, a weapon hidden until now. Energy gathered into a massive sphere, brighter and brighter. The void itself seemed to bend around it. Then, the cannon fired. A beam wider than cities cut across the battlefield. It ripped through fleets, through planet-side moons, carving them into ash. The charge lasted only seconds, but when it ended, silence fell across the void. Half the Council's armada was gone. The rest scattered in terror, fleeing into the dark. In the chamber, despair swallowed every heart. The High Speaker dropped his staff. It clattered on the floor. His 6 eyes stared blankly at the image of the Titan. We cannot win," he whispered. The message had been delivered not in words, but in fire. On board the Titan, Captain Reese gave a single command. "Hold fire, let them run." The warship's cannons dimmed. The drones returned to their bays. The Titan drifted once more in silence, its shadow stretching wider than ever. The council chamber sat in stunned quiet. No one dared to move. No one dared to speak. The truth hung heavy in the air. The galaxy had tested humanity, and humanity had answered. The final warning, the battlefield was quiet. Silent wreckage floated where once the Council's armada had stood proud. Thousands of ships reduced to drifting shadows, their fires dimming one by one. The Titan moved through the graveyard of war like a ghost, its black hull unscarred, its engines pulsing slow, calm, certain. In the council chamber, no one spoke. Delegates sat frozen, their faces pale, their wings limp, their claws trembling. The High Speaker slumped in his throne, the staff at his side broken. The galaxy's pride was shattered. Then the screens lit again. The Titan's bridge appeared. For the first time, the council saw him, the human. Captain Reese stood tall, his uniform plain, his expression steady. His eyes swept across the chamber as if he could see into every soul. He did not shout, he did not roar. His voice came calm, steady, and cold. "You called us forgotten," he said. "You believed humanity broken, weak, gone. You were wrong." The delegates leaned forward, some with fear, some with despair. His voice carried no anger, only certainty. "For centuries we stayed silent," Reese continued. "We built in the dark. We remembered every insult, every wound, every war where you treated us as prey." He paused, letting the silence press against them. "We did not forget we prepared." The chamber trembled. Some delegates whispered prayers, others hid their eyes. Reese's gaze sharpened. "You have now seen one Titan, one ship, one reminder of what waits in Terran space." His words cut like a blade. "Understand this. If you cross into our borders again, if you touch one stone of Earth or one breath of her people, your worlds will burn." He leaned closer, his voice lowering, the weight heavier than thunder. "Enter Terran space, and you will perish." The words echoed through the chamber, through every translation system, through every ear. The same words that had first appeared now came alive in human voice, a promise carved in steel and fire. Silence followed, a silence thicker than any before. One delegate, shaking, forced himself to speak. You seek conquest?" Reese's eyes narrowed. "No, humanity does not want your stars, your thrones, or your crowns. We want what was always ours. Our freedom, our safety, our respect." He stood taller, the shadow of the Titan behind him. "We do not conquer. We end threats, that is all." The screens flickered. The image of Reese vanished, replaced by the Titan's black silhouette once more. In the council fleets, survivors drifted in broken ships, their comms filled with silence. None dared to re-engage, none dared to move closer. On the Titan's bridge, the crew watched as alien ships retreated, thousands of engines flaring in panic, scattering like frightened prey. Captain Reese gave a final command. "Pull back, we have made our point." The Titan turned slowly. Its engines roared once more. A wave of power spread as it began its return to Terran space. Each pulse of its thrusters shook the void, reminding the galaxy of its presence in way. The council chamber. The silence remained heavy. Finally, the High Speaker whispered the truth no one wanted to hear. "We are no longer rulers of this galaxy." Another delegate shook his head. "No. Humanity does not rule. They only showed us that we cannot rule them." Whispers spread like wind through the chamber. Some spoke of surrender, some of alliance, some of revenge, but none had the courage to rise. None had the courage to act, because every eye saw the same truth. Humanity had not shown their full power. Humanity had shown only a glimpse. The Titan's shadow faded from the Council's star chart as it moved away. Yet its presence did not fade from their minds. It lingered, in their hearts, cold and heavy. Back in Terran space, more shadows stirred. In hidden shipyards, deep in the dark, engines hummed, Titans slept, waiting for the moment they would be called. Humanity had built not one, but many, and the galaxy knew it. The Council would never laugh at humans again. They would never call them weak, never call them forgotten, because in one moment, in one arrival, humanity had written its law across the stars. Earth will not be touched, humanity will not be mocked, and the galaxy will obey. The legend of the Titan-class warship spread like wildfire. Across trade routes, across empires, across forgotten worlds, children whispered it. Soldiers feared it. Rulers bowed before it. And in every corner of the galaxy the same phrase echoed, "Enter Terran space, and perish." The final warning had been given, humanity had spoken, and the galaxy would never forget.